Well, the first thing I have realised is just how important it is to have the right people around you at this time. It's not just talking about family, friends, acquaintances. They're absolutely vital in all situations, whether they be medical, sociological, or vocational. Indeed, I could write a whole book about the importance of having the right people around you. I could write a further book about avoiding having the wrong people in your life. However, that's not going to be of sole benefit when discussing manic depression. I'm, however, referring to the right medical professionals. To succeed, you need a good GP or physician. You'll certainly need a psychiatrist. You'll need additional psychiatric support, say from a CPN. You'll need someone who is well versed in psychopharmacology. And you may need one or more psychotherapists. You may also need to use the service of the local crisis team, mental health helplines, or Samaritans. It's a huge team that you require, and with the best will in the world, the UK health system cannot cope with those requirements. Even the private healthcare system in the UK is unable to meet the demands of supporting mental health. There are simply not enough trained psychiatrists, psychiatrically trained nurses or doctors available to provide treatment. Admittedly, most psychiatrists have a strong knowledge of psychopharmacology and, depending on availability, may be able to offer talking therapies. A GP may be able to refer you to CPNs who are either embedded or not into the community mental health team. A GP may even be willing to work alongside a psychopharmacologist without the need to have regular appointments with a consultant psychiatrist. However, there are still a great many gaps to fill in the overall treatment plan, and there are insufficient bodies to plug what is now a mighty abyss in the overall mental health ecosystem. If anyone is watching this that either has manic depression, feels they may have manic depression, or has a loved one or friend who seems likely they are exhibiting some of the signs of manic depression, these were covered in early interviews. They will be covered later in this video. Accessing medical support, primarily through a GP and then through a mental health professional, is essential to ensure treatment may commence at the earliest possible moment. As you may also recall, I did suggest in my interviews seeking a private consultation or diagnosis wherever possible. A good psychiatrist should be able to notice the signs of manic depression within a few consultations, and quite often within the space of one. Without diagnosis, there's no chance of appropriate treatment, and for someone who was undiagnosed for 13 years, after my first crisis, I can categorically state that inappropriate treatment can be so much more damaging than receiving no treatment at all. In addition to having the right people around you, it's so important, as with most mental illnesses, that you have routine. Manic depression and ADHD have very similar characteristics and are very often contradiagnosed, insofar as we have what I can only explain as scatterbrain syndrome. We find it unbelievably simple to have many irons in the fire at once, or to be juggling balls, or often to create great success. However, we find it nigh on impossible to concentrate fully on one single matter. Don't get me wrong. This works for me in a business sense. I often have work for multiple clients on my desk and flip between them as and when it seems right to do so. However, and in the past, deadlines have been met by the skin of the teeth, and a mammoth rush to get through the tax season has often resulted in burnout. Having a routine in all parts of life is so important. Even the smallest actions that you do every day can help. I've now built in what many people call silly little changes that put my days into perspective. Every night I finish work at 7:30 p.m. Previously, anything from 9 till 1 a.m. I usually go for a walk, unhealthily to a pub, but the staff are also part of my support network. When I return, I take my medication, have a mug of hot chocolate, go to bed. This is a routine I've never had, but it's something that I stick to, and I find it helps. Alongside all of this, the biggest thing I've learned is to apply moderation. It's so easy for someone with manic depression to feel like their manic periods are normal, that the endless days and nights without sleep, where they could work, create, and even party without a care of feeling tired the following day, are a blueprint for how life should always be. It simply isn't the case, and at some point there will be a crash. It may be a drastic fall into depression, it may be a true physical and mental burnout, or it may be something worse. I've now, through a mixture of natural wastage, chance, and design, reduced my client basis. And in so doing, I've been able to apply myself better to existing clients. Yes, it's resulted in lower income, but it's also resulted in lower costs. In addition, I've reduced some of my social activities and replaced them with less demanding, more relaxed entertainment. To be able to reduce your work commitments, have fewer social activities, or indeed take a step back in some of your family pressures can help, not only in times of depression, but it can also reduce the effects on a manic, hypermanic onslaught. However, the biggest and most important thing that I know is that you're unlikely to make any changes in your life until your medication is stabilising your mood. At this point, I'm not quite there, but I am feeling the effects of rebalancing, levelling up, and I've used some of this to make slight improvements. There's still some way to go, and it will never, ever be a quick process in any state. However, what this mixed state's taught me is that I'm not only trying to lift my mood, as I usually would be in a depressed state, I'm also trying to avoid the challenges of paranoia, racing thoughts, powerful injections of emotion, feelings, and even passion. Those who have experienced manic depressive episodes will understand all these feelings. Yet only those who have experienced a mixed state will understand how concerning and even dangerous the combination of mania and depression can be. It is true to say that my experiences, what I've learned, how I've reacted, and ultimately what has worked, it's all personal to me. However, it's also important to note that most people who are diagnosed with manic depression will have at least one similar experience. I'm not providing a blueprint. I'm not providing a roadmap. I'm not even making suggestions, but similarities will exist and will hopefully be of some help or even just consolation to fellow sufferers.